anyway, here we are, High Impact Reading Challenge underneath Wildebeest Publishing Company. Our book discussion today is Elizabeth Gilbert's Big Magic. And I'm excited to see what all of your opinions are on this one. I already know at least one of you didn't read it. That's okay. That's what we're here for. We're going to do, I think we have a small enough group to do quick intros, but we do want to keep them quick so that anyone watching the follow-up can get to the meat and potatoes of our call. Then we'll do a round robin discussion. That too, we have some guidelines for that, but you can say whatever you like about the book. We'll open it up to comments and then we talk about the next book. And our ground rules always are we are recording, so just watch your P's and Q's. And if you do say something, try not to, but if you do say something that you're like, whoa, I don't want this public, you can let us know and we'll edit it out. Everyone is entitled to their own opinions, so we will respect that. And then we want to just have fun. It's a nice hour away from everything else to just enjoy what we're doing and create some big magic, right? And so our suggestions for round robin are just to talk about the overall helpness. Is it relevant to your audience? So if you're a coach, is it relevant to the people you work with? If you're a manager, is it relevant to your teams? How did you feel about the ability to put it into action? If you've read similar books, how does it compare? Maybe what your favorite quote or point that was made is, and then maybe what you liked least about it. And at the end, we kind of just want to know if you are generally thumbs upping it or downing. And we will use that sort of when we look at next year's books, what we're going to reread and not revisit. Come on, next. So our High Impact Reading Challenge is a club you can join. We like everyone to join as members so that you at least get our monthly email that lets you know that we're having the books and what is up next, and to get the reminders. And then at the supporter level, it's just helping us pay for the administration to run the group. And then super appreciate our sponsors who get t-shirts and some periodic bonuses. And they also will be eligible for some of our publishing launching activities coming up. And next, why is this so slow? Technical difficulties here. Move on. Okay. Our sponsors, we have so many and growing group of sponsors. So Tanya with O2 Consulting, I don't see her here yet, so hopefully she'll join us. Lisa and Brass Rings, who's also our co-host. Sorry, I'm just reading the chat thing, got distracted. Barb Stone, also not here, hopefully might join us later. And with her Build Your Path consulting and coaching, Robin McKinney and Jody Hatch. And we have a new sponsor who's just came in and is not listed here. So Jerry Nolan, thank you so much. Appreciate that. And I love that because that means you're going to keep coming back. So that's awesome. Nicole, I see your chat. It says that you also did sign up as a member, but not getting the email. So I will check on that. And then appreciate our sponsors, Barry, Heather, Eric, and Chris. And let's see, next slide. So what we're doing with the funds, like I said, we're using it to cover our administrative costs, which is at $300. And then once we get beyond that, any numbers that we have in excess are going to help us go to a first-time publishing fund and literacy project. So we want to keep growing this group so that we can reach these goals. So please be sure to share this and invite people. If you're having a conversation with colleagues and they're talking about books they're reading, or if you see something on LinkedIn, invite them to join us. And I think everyone is really looking forward to the next book, Think Like a Monk by Jay Shetty. I know I am. I know Jerry is. So it was, I think, our top voted book for this year. So our next discussion will be May 27th, and we'll talk about that book. Super looking forward to it. And that's it. So who would like to kick off our discussion today?
Are we going to do some brief introductions?
Oh, yes. Sorry. Thank you. That's why you're here.
Wingman.
Lisa, my wingwoman, keeping me in check. Thank you.
Sure. So I'll go ahead with me then. I'm Lisa Sears. I lead two teams. One is my Brass Rings teams that's focused on nonprofits and also financial advisors, which is my true love, Jerry Nolan, right? And then I have a consulting business that is really partnered with Jody Hatch that's on the call today, and we're really focused on agriculture. And so that is just, I feel like I'm in 3 different worlds all the time, but love each of those worlds. So yeah. I will say that Tanya, I did talk to her. She's very disappointed and thrilled at the same time. She has 2 workshops this month and next that land on
Oh
our
no.
discussion time. So she's like, oh, I'm like, so she'll be watching the rerun, but she sends her regards to everyone.
Hey, Tanya. Good luck with your workshops. Thanks, Lisa. Kim, you want to go next?
Sure. My name is Kim Tapley. I am in sunny Florida. I live here full time. I work in environmental regulatory, and I am a mother of 3 very rambunctious boys. And I've been telling people to join the club, even if they can't, meet us during lunchtime, which I think normally, now that I have the reoccurrence on my calendar, I can do it. But if I have time to read 1 book a month, then other people do too. So those of you who may be watching the YouTube channel, you can do it too.
Awesome. Love that. Thanks. How about one of our newer people, Alicia?
Sure. So Alicia Larson, this is my son, Ian. So I'm currently a stay-at-home mom, and he loves trucks very much, and he's very rambunctious as well. So right now I'm also helping out 1 day a week a little bit at Jerry's office, which is wonderful,
cool.
which is how I got the invite to this group. And previous to being a mom, I worked in marketing and communications, and had a degree in journalism, used to write, want to write again, loved this book. So looking forward to everyone's thoughts.
That's a pickup truck.
Thanks. Awesome.
That's a pickup truck.
That big truck.
Jody, go ahead.
My name is Jody Hatch. I am in cloudy upstate New York, not where the sun shines. I am in transition. Actually, I just left my job about 3 weeks ago, and
You did it.
I did it. I gave a 2-week notice. I was kind of like 1 foot in, 1 foot out, and last week was my first week out, and so lots of reflection. This is a great month for me to reread Big Magic. I do work with Lisa. I'm a partner in that consulting. I specialize in agricultural teams and building their teams within that industry. So I'm quiet, quite calm.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Jerry.
I'm Jerry Nolan, and I'm a financial advisor. So you probably guess I got here because I was invited by Lisa, and Alicia's my dear friend and client, and like a daughter. And I try to find time to read a book a month. I don't always, but I think this is just a really, really cool thing. And so I love the idea of just, even if you can't or you don't or whatever, show up and learn about it. So I'm looking forward to sticking with it, and I'm super excited about this coming month.
Wonderful. Thank you. And thank you again for joining our sponsor group. And Nicole.
Hi, I'm Nicole Simmons. I also live in Syracuse, New York. So it's drippy and gray today. So I'm glad to be a part of this group because, you guys bring such sunshine and wonderful energy. I am a mom of 2 teenagers and 3 older bonus kiddos. My oldest bonus kiddo just had a new baby, so I'm a newest grandma, Nana. That's exciting. And I am the owner of Relationship Matters, which is a consulting business to help spread the Nurtured Heart approach, which is a relationship-focused methodology that was originally intended for parents of difficult kiddos, and it has now spread to being used worldwide with parents, teachers, people in the professional world. A lot of us trainers have started doing the inner work that the creator has coached us in. And so it's really become a way of life. And I'm excited to be a part of this group because this book reading keeps me motivated, keeps me inspired, keeps me moving forward. And Lord knows in this pandemic, we could use some of that.
Absolutely. Thank you. And Christina, we finally see you. Hi. You're muted.
Sorry about that.
Sorry.
My name is Christina Brooks, and I found out about this group from Lisa as well, and I really enjoyed Big Magic. I thought it was great, so thumbs up for me. And I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a soon-to-be business owner, and in transition as well. So lots of different titles that I have. Those are only a few, I guess.
Thanks everyone. I'm Laura Thorne. I'm a business consultant, career coach, just general creator. I like to make things. So you might see me doing something one day and something totally different another day, or throughout every hour of the day. And super excited to be co-hosting this with Lisa, and I will actually be hanging out with her on Sunday. Super excited. And I'm in Florida right now visiting family and friends, and I will be making that trek back to Syracuse. So I don't want to start with my opinions on the book. I would like to open it to someone else to start. So who would like to go?
It made me laugh because I often feel like I'm the lobster at the end of the book that they talk about, where you kind of maybe aren't told the whole thing, or something changes at the last minute and you have to make the most of it. But I kind of resonated with that story and loved it. And I just like the idea of holistically that you, whoever you are, whatever your positives, negatives are, you can create things, you can do things, just find what inspires you and do that. And that's living a creative life. So I kind of love the message and something that I believe myself. So it was an easy read for me, for sure.
Great, thanks. Lisa, you can feel free to jump in here anytime as co-host and whatever. You're quiet today.
I'm curious. I'm practicing curiosity.
Kim, how about you? We missed hearing from you last month.
I at first didn't like the book just because I'm a scientist, and just ideas having their own intelligent thought to seek out people, and she's serious about it. It didn't connect with me. But as I further along I realize that is her thought process. That's how she creates. So who am I to judge any of that, So after a while, I, got into it. I thought it was a very easy read. I really felt like I was having coffee with her. It was like mentoring, like every little section. I was like, oh, this is like if we were at a coffee shop or something. Just the flow that she wrote, I really enjoyed. It made me think of this book, Creativity, and I'm not even going to attempt to read his last name, but he has a similar thought process on creative ideas, in which if you are trying to spur creativity, don't continuously do the project or whatever you're working on that you need the creative thought. So like, go take a shower, go for a jog, go take the dog for a walk. And then when your mind is open, then those creative ideas should flow. And so a lot of times in my office at work, we have really big windows and we have trees and we have bird feeders. It's a really nice environment. And so when people are just, sometimes staring out the window, I just go up to them and say, hey, what are you thinking about? Because, they're thinking about something. And most of the time they're just thinking about a creative solution to a problem. So I think the way that she explains it in the book, it really resonates with a lot of people, especially if this was on the bestseller list. and hopefully it will spawn some more creativity. So overall, I give it a thumbs up. I really like the writing structure of it, and I liked a lot of the ideas.
Thanks, Kim. All right, who wants to go? Robin, and who's KP? Should I know? Lisa, do you know KP?
That's actually my sister.
Okay.
Karen.
Do either of you want to introduce yourselves?
Hi, I'm Karen Pennington. I'm Jody's sister.
Hi.
Sorry I joined late. I have not read Big Magic, but I'm joining today to see how the book club is run, and I'd love to join in the future. And I've heard great things about this book, so I'd love to hear what everybody else has to say.
She's also actually gotten a lot of pages via text from me. So she's read part of it because I'm like, you need to read that.
Awesome. We're glad to have you.
Well, thank you for letting me join.
KP, do you want to let us know kind of what your world looks like? What, as far as like how you might apply this, like what's your role currently, or?
So my current role in life or work?
Work, life, whatever you want to share.
So right now I work for a university in business development, but I'm also going through a move with my family, which will require a lot of other changes. So I'm hoping that this will be a magical process for us and not as hard as it has been in the past. So that's what I'm hoping to gain. Some new tools.
And where are you located?
I'm in Rochester, New York, and we're moving to Albany, New York.
Nice. Awesome. Well, glad you joined us today, and hopefully in the future too. Lisa, where's your sister?
My sister's in North Carolina, vacationing. So.
Oh, nice.
Yes. We're just a bunch of traveling fools.
Good for Jen.
I know, right? Hey, Robin.
Yes. Hey. Okay. I, again, did an audiobook. And actually, I don't know if anybody else did that, but I thought this was a great listen. I listened to this like probably for about 10 days in a row when I walked the dog and got through the whole thing. And I loved it. I loved it. I loved listening to her talk and go through the book. I liked her personality. And I kind of liked when she talked about ideas kind of like jumping or going from one person to another, because I think that's happened to all of us. Like we're sitting there at the table or you're watching something on TV and was like, oh my God, why didn't I think of that? Or why didn't I do that when I thought of it? Or you have somebody in a room that was like, I thought that a glove like that would be a great idea for texting. But you never do anything about it. But I thought that was great. I enjoyed her discussion about relationships, creativity. I really liked Eat, Pray, Love, that book. So I thought, her style of writing and really kind of her abstract thought process. I liked that. I enjoyed it. And I thought it was good. And I liked listening to it. What I do is I work in insurance, but I work with a lot of people and at different carrier companies, salespeople, a bunch of different roles. And when I think about this, because when I think about my team, it made me think more about members on your team and the value that each person then brings to the table. I tend to be an idea person and let's do this and let's do this and let's do this. And I talk to my carriers, talk to people, get stuff together. But the person who I know that I need on my team is then that person that's going to go through and is the obsessive person for making sure that every I is dotted, every T is crossed, all the margins are lined up. The person that looks at all of that stuff. I am not that person. I can give something the once over, but there's people that are much better at it than I am. And as she talked about people she met, her approach to books, her thought process, and as it went through that, I don't know why, but and she talked about her parents, but it made me have an appreciation for the need that I personally have, and I think that everybody has on their team for those different types of personalities and strengths. We all have our own strengths, and pulling that together to make something work, not only socially in your work environment, but also with whatever you're trying to succeed at or put together. But, and it kind of pushed me in that direction for, I don't know why, but, it reinforced that in my head and gave me a real appreciation for some of the people that I work with and on my team.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing, and nice to have you here.
I think I want to piggyback on where Robin was going in the first part, because I think being a coach and helping people like that want to create something or want to create a business, I see it all the time where they're like, I just had a discussion with a gentleman that had this great idea, and he's not gone into action on it for about 2 years now. And then he sees it out there and somebody else did it. And he's just like crushed. And I'm like, well, I think a lot of times too, we hold ourselves, like we compare what other people are doing, and they've created this thing that was in our head that I think, and it stops us. But for me, it made me think, gosh, we don't have to stop. We can still, it's going to look and feel a little bit different if I'm leading it. And if one person needs it, they can't, how can one company actually facilitate things for the entire, United States of America? Like, it's okay if we kind of put down that comparison and still do the thing, even if we see somebody else do it. It also reminded me of the times I vacation with specific friends annually. And we played this game on the beach, was like, get creative and create a product. And so we would create like the need for like a swim headband that doesn't rip your hair out, right? And then we would Google it and see if it existed. Like I'm constantly saying like, well, I know I want this thing, so it's probably out there because somebody else has thought about this before me. And so it was kind of the fun one was I wanted a hand so I could put lotion on my back on a stick. And the friend, they got back to Rochester and they took a picture in like Walgreens of literally a stick with a hand on it that you put lotion on your back. So I think it is fun to kind of have a little bit lighter feel around creative and not compare yourself to like, I have to have this unique idea. Other people can have that same idea. And I think some of our styles and the way that we put it out into the world is what makes it uniquely beautiful, even if it's somebody else's idea that they've also kind of executed. I had 2 specific thoughts that I said, wow, to. I think one of them is, more than you think. She was pretty heavy on that. And I think that stops a lot of people because they say, who am I? And then she kind of pushed that into that she didn't put the book out there for me. She did it for herself. And I loved that. When I'm creative, some of the stop is like, who's going to actually use this? And it's not for them. It's for me to get thoughts or my experience to paper or a program and the people that show up and consume that, I'll attract the right people for that. And it doesn't have to be something that I create for everyone. It can be this little small group of people that that thought connected with. And so I loved that more simplistic permission to just go ahead and put it out there because, maybe I'll find my new 10 best friends that love this idea and want to talk to me about it. So overall, I felt like it was a great permission book.
Hi, Tanya.
Hey, how was your work?
It was good. It's so hard to do things virtually. And with and the intention is content delivery, it's not engagement, so that's hard, but it's okay. It was good. It was on volunteer management, so
Fun stuff. Do
Yeah.
you want to just do a little introduction and then maybe
Sure.
tell us?
Hi, I am Tanya Eastman. I am the Director of Operations at On Point for College. I am the Principal Consultant for O2 Consulting. And we're recording, so I can't say. And ... next month I will share, I would get in a lot of trouble. I am adding something else. I'm moving some pieces around, which is super exciting, that I will share next month. So I loved this book, especially, so I didn't know, I knew Eat, Pray, Love, but I don't remember authors and stuff. And so, I mean, as she really talks about like her best was potentially behind her. And so how do you continue to go on and create when potentially like your biggest success is behind you? And I feel that a lot less these days. However, I felt that a lot when I left New York. And it was like, well, why did you leave? Why did you come home? And how do you top that? And so there was a lot of doubt but I thankfully have moved through that, but I really liked her perspective on that, and the idea of a remix, which really resonates with me because I'm a big believer that nothing really is created on anywhere. It's a remix of other things. And if you look at literature, it's the same, what is it, like 7 stories told over and over, just from a different person's perspective, which is what Lisa's talking about. And as I've, started to really move into the consulting space, I was like there's nothing unique, but the reality is I'm what's unique about it. And so either you're on board and you're into me and you're like, okay, I'm into this, or you're like, whoa, I'm definitely not into this. I need to work with someone to do the same work, but a different personality and approach and stuff. So it was reaffirming.
Yeah, I love the idea that we don't have to fit every person.
It's actually my approach with interviewing. I think it's more like self-talk, like, okay, I brought my best self. Either I'm the fit or I'm not, and I'm your cup of tea or I'm not. Like, I have no delusions about the personality I bring with me. And so.
Well, I love that personality, so.
Yeah. Yeah. Who wouldn't want you, Tanya? Which I think, all the new things you're doing, everyone wants you. So.
Thank you. My husband is like, I'm like, dude, like I've not changed in 8 years. Like, this is no different than 8 years ago. So you knew what you signed up for. And now you're in for life. I mean, we have matching tattoos. It's definitely for life.
Okay, who wants to go next?
So I can go next because I don't have too much to say because I only read like a little tiny bit. I ran out of time, but I obviously have the book, and this is super helpful. And actually what Tanya just said, and of course, some of the things that you're all saying, I'm really excited. I'm gonna try to read it in the next few days so I can be on time for Jay Shetty. But the part about how do you go on when you feel like your best could be behind you? I mean, Lisa, you know me. I face that a lot. I don't really believe it, but it definitely creeps in there, when you've had some really good stuff and you get a little older, maybe. Anyway, thanks for sharing, and I don't really have anything else, but I appreciate listening to you guys.
Perfect. That's what we want. We want you to just hear what you missed and decide whether you want to pick it up and read it again or move on to the next thing, which we know you're excited about. I'll chime in for Heather Miller. She obviously is not here, but wanted to say that it's paining her to not be here, which is awesome. And her favorite quote from the book or favorite line is, I'm talking about living a life that is driven more strongly by curiosity than fear. So that was her one-liner takeaway. All right, who wants to go next? Nicole?
I was going to volunteer. You beat me to it. I loved the book. I thought it was great. I appreciated that it was an easy read. The brain one was like hardcore concentrating for me. But this one, I just appreciated that it was light and playful and inspiring and motivating and loving and accepting all at the same time. It was gentle nudging while also, just reminding me of some things that, I think we've all heard and probably believe, but those, worries and doubts creep up and try to trample, and stifle the things that we want to do. One of the quotes I like is, get a move on and don't worry whether anyone will give you credit for it. Be satisfied with even the smallest progress and treat the outcome of it all as unimportant. That's really big for me because I tend to get tethered to outcome. If I put this out and nobody responds, then, I suck kind of thing. So I've been trying lately to just put things out there as I'm inspired and just be like, okay, if it lands with someone, great. And if it doesn't, that's okay too. And then another line I liked was, create whatever you want to create and let it be stupendously imperfect. I, have a history of not wanting to do that next thing until I think it can be as perfect as possible. And if it's something technology related, then it's not going to be because we have a complicated relationship. So then I let it hold me back rather than just putting it out there. I have a friend who has just started just putting stuff out there, even if and she's a perfectionist at heart, and just trusting that, it'll be the right thing. So I thought the book was great. I appreciated her little stories. I appreciated just being encouraged to let those ideas come in whatever way they're going to come and put them out there and don't keep them to yourself. So definitely a thumbs up. And thank you for the easier read this month. I appreciated it.
I don't think any of the other ones were my choice, Nicole. You'll be fine.
Yay! No.
This one was actually Kristen's choice.
Yeah.
So if you know Kristen, she's very spiritual and you would know this came from her. She's into big magic. So
Oh, I love it.
I think it's shocking that a group of women are tied to outcome and have to work through perfectionism. How shocking for us all. So
okay, so
weird.
let me go in now with that as my segue into my thing. I knew I was going to be the only person that hated this book. Because what you just said, Lisa, that's not me. You know me. I am I will throw crap out in the world and I don't care what people think, and I don't care if it's my next big thing or if it's not or whatever. So this book for me, I get the concepts, but it wasn't the read for me. It was I agree with her, but I didn't need to hear it necessarily because I'm like, strategy. Okay, cool. Now tell me how. I want the okay, we need to be practicing creativity and looking for those ideas, but give me the practical how to on how I do this, not just about how she did it in the past. I didn't realize she was the same author from Eat, Pray, Love, and I did like that book, but it was a different kind of story. Excuse me. And so I just was like, I wanted more in the way of, great, how do I put this into practice? And I didn't feel like that part was there.
Shocking.
I know, right?
But I think that's the part of her point in the book is that this doesn't have to be the book for you.
Exactly.
Which,
right?
Yeah, it just reiterates that, which I think is kind of cool. We just need to know ourselves to know what we need to consume and what's a good fit.
Yeah. And obviously it has a huge demographic of people it's a great fit for. So it just wasn't me.
Yeah. But she did the quotes that I really liked, and this is Robin. we are all just beginners here and we shall all die beginners. I liked that quote because that seems very true to me, even to those of us that think we know it all, or the people that we run into that think they know everything. And I also liked when she said, you don't need to conduct autopsies on your disasters. I think we tend to do that, and maybe as women, we do that a little too much. So it didn't work. Just do something different or change something and move on. We don't need to dwell on it and conduct an autopsy on it and tear it apart. Those two things, I really like those two quotes.
Excellent. Yeah, and that's again where I'm like, I leave stuff in the dust and move on all the time. So I'm like, but I think it's awesome though, that, I mean, it's all great stuff. I just wanted more of like, how do I do it?
So Laura, though, think of it this way, you're unique because you already have that creativity in you. There's a whole world of people out there who don't have that. And that's what this book is geared towards, to get them to the level that you are already at.
Right. And like Robin said, I'm not perfect. I haven't perfected anything. I just was made this way. It's just different. But at the same time, this is why I created Wildebeest Publishing. I'm like, I want to take this, I want to turn it into a workbook. I want to tell people, okay, these are awesome concepts. How do you put this into practice? You know? So I want to see these quotes up on walls and in workbooks or in a journal or something, and then make it so, okay, people read this book and then they go, okay, I want to put this into practice. What do I do next? And for this book, I think a journal is a great next step for it. So I'll be contacting Miss Gilbert and having that conversation with her. All right, who hasn't gone yet? Jody, have you gone? Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's all right.
I read this book probably 4 or 5 years ago, and I honestly can't tell you that I remember finishing it. And when I started it this time around, I was like, first of all, I was like, I think I've read this before, which tells you how much I remember. But I was like, oh, it's just not speaking to me. I'm not in this space. I'm not creative. I don't like make things for some reason in my head. But I work with a lot of people who are artists, right? And so for whatever reason in my head, I was like, oh my God, I can't even draw a smiley face. I don't make it. I used to be a music teacher, but I was never a musician. Okay. So it's a difference between an artist and a creative, right? But I could create things and make things happen. And it just made me reflect a bit. And I started reading it before I put in my 2-week notice. And I was reflecting on my work and what I create. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. Everybody's a creative. It isn't an artist. It isn't a this. It's what do you create? And I stepped back and was looking at the work that I'm doing. And, she talked about, just when an idea comes to you and you just let it go through you. And I was like, oh, I do that all the time, like too much. Right. And I don't always need to know the how. I'm like, oh, that's an idea. And that's an idea. And that's an idea. But I liked the part where she said, so one of the reasons, like in my job, I'm putting those ideas out all the time and they don't get to go anywhere. And I'm not in charge of making them happen. And it's been a struggle because I like to create. It's something I like to do in process. And she said, there was one quote, she said, do whatever brings you life. And I'm like, okay, well, right now I'm dying. Because I can't bring anything to life. So that was part of the transition. So this book was a really great timing through this. But then when I left and I was like, oh shit, what have I done? I was like, okay, wait a minute. We're going to go back to the alignment piece and the creative piece, which is what I thrive on and brings me life. And I was thinking, she had a quote by Einstein that said, this combination play. And it said, it is the act of opening up one mental channel by dabbling in another. And I was like, oh, you know what I need to do right now? Stuff I haven't been able to do. So I've been hiking more. I've been outside more. I've been like, puttering over here more. I've been doing this, which are not my normal things. I need to actually go find some really different things because I know that's going to spur just a new way for new ideas to flow that haven't been able to flow because of the situation I was in before. But looking forward, it just made me mindful of the fact that I need to make sure I have those channels open all the time, right? What do I need? And I say sometimes it goes back to self-care, but it goes, where is there time for you to think? Where is there time for you to play? Where is there time for you to do something so different that you can't think about anything else because this thing is so different? Because something does happen when you're doing that. I mean, I think I said probably to Karen the other day, I was like, I think I should go like work at a nursery or something and just like put plants in, and not think and just be around things that are pretty and not talk to people. I could do that for about 7 hours, maybe tops, and then I would be done. But it would be a channel for me to do and be in a place where I could receive just my mind thinking about other things that sometimes we shut off. So, and she had another quote was, inspiration will always be drawn to motion. And I was like, that's really funny because if you really want to get some ideas out of me, take me on a hike and let me talk. But sit me in a boardroom, I'm probably not going to say very much until later when I'm moving again. But it made me mindful too of how the different kinds of learners that you have in your teams and your groups and how they receive and give information and how they process information. So that took me back to my education days as just a reminder that, sometimes you physically have to move. Sometimes you just need to be in a new space. But the idea that you're changing it up a little bit in terms of motion so that you can have the space to allow those creative ideas to come. And then the how, then we'll go to Laura.
I think you just said a lot of hows. So I'm going to take all the things you just said because you heard the quote, but then you actually took some actions on those. And I don't think everyone who would read the book would be able to do that. So you're an action person too, Jody, and you always have good ways to tie stuff into an actual
too many actions. No complete.
What type of coach are you, Jody?
Huh?
What type of coach are you?
I don't know.
You're an action coach.
Yeah, oh yeah, right. I like to work with people who want change now. So I gave it a thumbs up. I do think you have to come to a little bit of, if you're gonna maybe preface it to someone is like, I don't say it's like wooey or anything. The concept is we all have our own ideas. They come to us. What are you gonna do with them? You're gonna allow them, and you're not the fear of like, well, somebody else has that idea. Well, yeah, but nobody's done it like you, like what Lisa said. So it's like, oh, that's kind of freeing. And maybe I could just do it because I like the process and not care about the outcome. That's a really hard one. Like, why can't we just enjoy the process? I'm talking very big picture, but yeah. Why can't we? Why does it have to amount to something other than that you went through the process? So that was my takeaway. I give it a thumbs up.
I felt like it felt like a woo-woo read because of the freedom that she shared the information with. Not so much because she was woo-woo at all, but she just like,
she's free. I'm like, well, why can't I be that free? Mm-hmm. Why do I hold back? It was, and that's I think what she was saying, when you're aligned, and that's your big magic, is that you're free to be like, well, I'm doing the process, whether you like it or not, whether it amounts to anything or not, whether you think it sucks, whether it doesn't matter. I'm in the process because I want to be in the process. So it was a good read for me for this month, because one of my businesses makes no sense that I do, but I'm so passionate about it. It's stupid, but it's the truth. And I was like, why am I making it wrong? Why can't I just do it? Because for some reason that excites me.
Right. So. That's great. Alicia, were you going to add something earlier?
Sure. Yeah. So I loved this book. For some reason, almost everything she said resonated with me. And I don't know, if I took like a ton of action and whatnot based on what she was saying, but there was a part where she was talking about her parents and her dad and how like he thought bees were cool, and he thought, oh, why don't I just raise some bees. I'm like, oh, that's fun. So I thought to myself, I've always wanted to learn how to play the violin. I'm like, why can't I just go learn how to play the violin? So I ordered a violin. So my violin arrived like a week ago. I have no idea what I'm doing with this thing, but whatever, I'm playing with it because it's fun. Because, she talked a lot in the one section about work and your creativity and what you're putting out in the world doesn't have to be so hard. You don't have to be a martyr. Like, your work doesn't have to save the world. It can just be fun. It's okay to have fun, and let it be fun, because life isn't necessarily all about, I spent a long time in healthcare, so curing cancer. I don't have to cure cancer by myself with the words that I write. I could write something that is fun and joyful and, brings me joy. I don't have to always worry about what other people are going to think about what I put out there into the world. And I do worry about that a lot. So it was nice to be reminded that, hey, it's okay, like, chill out, just try and throw it out there and see what happens. What's the worst that's going to happen? So I kind of loved it a lot. As far as favorite quotes, like, literally I have a gazillion, but you do not need anyone's permission to live a creative life. And I think that's kind of true for anything. You don't need anyone's permission for anything. I forget if it was this writer or something else that I read or heard or something, but, here's your permission slip, just go do it. I always feel like I need someone's permission, and I don't. Nobody's out there saying you can't do this. They don't care. There was another quote where she talked about, nobody else really cares about all the stuff that you're going through. They're not thinking about you as much as you think they are. So here's your permission slip, just go do it. So I kind of loved that. And then what kind of summed it up the best for me was, I don't know yet exactly what I am, but I'm curious enough to go find out. So that's kind of where I'm at right now in life in general, because, I'm doing the stay-at-home mom gig. What's my 5-year, 10-year career goals? I have no clue. But whatever, I'm figuring it out on the daily. I go into Jerry's office, we do some things, I get curious about things, and I follow the curiosity. So that's okay. That's okay. I don't need to know what the 10-year goal is right now. So this book was good for me.
Awesome.
My brother-in-law has a favorite quote that he shares with us often. And when you hear it, you'd be like, he's really mean, but it's exactly what you were talking about. He goes, you're not that special.
Yeah, for sure.
But in the context that we have a lot of fun with that statement, actually, in our family, but in the context that who are these people that are really caring what you're doing?
Mm-hmm. Right. They're probably nobody.
But there's nobody there, is what I'm saying. You might get some, you get a spouse or a friend or be like, oh my gosh, why are you doing that? And that's your who in essence. But really, if you go do something like, me just leaving my job and, oh my God, they're all going to say something.
Yeah, exactly. They didn't care.
Did they really? What did they think that I do?
Yeah,
I'm not paying their bills.
Exactly. I kind of just up and left my job a couple of years ago, my big job, to go part-time. And I was so worried. What are they going to say? Nobody cared. They were all proud of me and thought, wow, great for you. I'd love to do that too. So I'm with you.
Somebody said the other day, like, oh, you're so inspiring. I'm like, crazy is inspiring then. Woo.
Crazy, batshit crazy. Right. What did I just do? Yeah. Right. But it's okay. It turned out great so far.
Yeah.
So
you know what it reminds me of? Brene Brown in Being in the Arena. Yes. And unless you're in the arena, you're in the cheap seats and you don't matter. So unless you are unarmored in the arena. Yeah. My girl.
Love her.
In the permission slip, I think that was Jen Sincero from You're a Badass.
Gotcha. I'm like, it came from somewhere.
Yeah, I think that's where it came from.
Brene Brown was just on the Daily Show. I haven't seen it yet, but I think she was just on this past week.
Nice.
Oh, that's going to be a good one.
I still go to Dr. Seuss on this one. Those who matter don't. Those who mind don't. Those who matter don't mind.
And
those
those
who mine don't matter. It's still my favorite.
I got to tell you, Alicia, I did get a little chills. And when you said like follow the curiosity, I think that's sometimes I think I want to know the answers or get super outcome. But like, I just loved that you said that. I'm going to write it down.
Be happy. Why not? Why not?
Oh, I am on a hike. I always have to go around the next corner. I don't want to go back. I want to keep going around the next corner and the next corner. And then it's like, oh, it's getting dark.
Yeah. Maybe I
Always
should
looking
go
for
home
the
and
couch.
not die in the wilderness. Yeah.
Any last comments before we start talking about next month's book? I think like a monk, was that Tanya or Kim's pick, or maybe both?
Probably there's a couple of us.
Yeah, a lot of people want to read it. I first found out about Jay. I followed him on Facebook many years ago because he has really inspirational sayings that just are perfect timing, I think, in my life with a lot of stuff that's gone on over the past year. So when he started posting that he was writing a book and then the book came out, I had my husband buy it for me for Christmas, and it's been on my bookshelf and I've been wanting to read it so much. And I'm like, no, I'm going to wait because I know that it is the next scheduled book. So I am very looking forward to this book.